Omar, thank you for coming and joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You're a very busy man to get hold of.
Well, I try, but I love these gold microphones. They're very Punjabi, these. There's a Punjabi wedding this, isn't it? This is like did you take these from Nawab?
No, mate.
Were you at Nawab restaurant and you took these?
The budgets have, thank you to our sponsors, Colony for
Not Nawab?
No.
Oh, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
We would have been shooting at Nawabs then.
We'll do that sometime.
Yeah. Omar, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
One of the reasons I wanted to have you on this podcast was because I believe somebody like yourself can offer a lot of value to people within mental health who have suffered, who are suffering, either because of professionally or personally. And I just wanted to kind of touch upon your backstory on how you kind of got to where you are today.
Yeah.
So just a bit about how you came up with the technology, which is very exciting. How you kind of knew you had an issue and how you kind of started to make a recovery.
So quite a few things to go through there. So this whole journey started for me by 2010, and it was the suicide of my best friend after a night out where he'd been speaking to me about having some issues. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, and my reaction was, oh, let's just get a drink, we'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. He went home. 3 hours later, I found him. He'd been taking his own life. After that was, well, I suppose that was the beginning of my mental health journey. Disappeared for a while to Morocco. And the idea for the company actually came about 3 years ago. So what we do, WeAreAssif, we're a mental health technology startup. We are creating products and tools and an app for mental health and wellness. So our main app, it has a whole host of tools in there for your mental health, from gamification, games to help you relieve your stress and anxiety, meditation, breathing, yoga videos, behavioral change tools, a peer-to-peer support community. But underneath it, the platform is backed by artificial intelligence, with that being my background. There's an algorithm that I've been writing for a while, which uses voice recognition, facial recognition, so it'll read the micro expressions on your face, neural networking, machine learning data to learn you as a user, and then look out for changes in behavior. The idea is intervention before you know you need it. Eventually, with enough data, the idea is that it will be able to predict patterns. And just because I love having no time, on top of running a startup, I'm doing a part-time PhD in the AI.
Fabulous.
So it's emotional artificial intelligence. Yeah, because I love having no time to myself. So, I mean, that's a little bit about the company in a nutshell. I myself have had mental health issues after everything that happened, and after the death of my parent. I then started suffering from depression. Twice tried to take my own life. Luckily, I'm really crap at trying to take my own life. So a lot of that story is steeped into the why. And a lot of that is also how we are doing it and why we are doing it, why we are trying to do things differently because of my own issues, where I went to get an appointment from a GP and I was told I'd have to be on the waiting list. It took me 8 months to get an appointment. Within that time, I tried to take my own life. So a lot of why I'm doing it is from what I've experienced. But the research as well, this is quite interesting. The research behind the product, we've pivoted about 5 times. And it's all research-based. So we've spoken to over 3,000 people who've either tried to take their own life or suffer from depression, anxiety, or suicidal thoughts. So our product has pivoted 5 times. And we spoke to over 3,000 people, which was a very hard research to do at times.
How did you find them people?
I started off by speaking to Calm, and then I was involved in some research here in Manchester Uni, but then it was a bit of a snowball effect. Putting on focus groups, but I've been doing the research since 2010, so for about 10 years, so it's been something that's been quite organic. But as you can imagine, it has been something quite difficult to do. And also the research has evolved massively. From when I first started it, I was more doing the research to try to make sense of suicide, but then it started to become a lot more academic. So yeah, it snowballed and become more academic and quantifiable as I've pursued it.
So your actual background is that you learned about artificial intelligence when you worked at Google, is that correct?
Yeah.
So the technology that you've developed, it's basically an app that sits on your phone.
Yeah.
Is that constantly running then all the time to detect your voice patterns and?
So yeah.
Or would you have to say, I'm feeling a bit down, I need to put the app on? How would that?
So the more you use the app, the better it will become at learning you and learning your profile and behavior.
Yeah.
But it's something that's been designed so that it will be running in the background. So even if you don't use it that much, the algorithm will still be building a profile of you through natural language processing, looking at what you're doing on the internet. It will speak to other apps, so your sleeps, your steps. So it takes a lot of data points and data sets. So it will create a unique value proposition of you as a person, which sounds really bad to say, but it's the way that helps. But yeah, it's the way we sort of quantify it.
If it helps.
Yeah.
Now, over the last 3-4 years, we've seen a big rise in awareness around anxiety, depression. A lot more people talking about it. A lot more people jumping on the bandwagon about it. A lot of people trying to cash in on it.
Yeah.
How much of an impact do you think the internet has had in creating more people with depression and anxiety?
There is research coming out now with social media being such a new thing in terms of Facebook and Instagram. The research is sort of catching up with it. But we've just recently had Blue Monday, haven't we? I think Blue
yeah, Blue, did you see that?
Yeah, but Blue Monday, I think this is a good example of how social media and the society that we live in can perpetuate something like Blue Monday. So what do you think Blue Monday is, or what's your awareness, Billy?
My awareness of Blue Monday it was the most depressing day of the year, because you are apparently, it's when your New Year's resolutions, you've had to go out the window, bills start coming in from Christmas, things, and that's what leads to that big day. I think it's the gloominess of the day, and a few things make up why that day is the worst day of the year.
So, Blue Monday is a load of nonsense.
All right, okay.
It was Sky Travel actually paid a part-time professor at Cardiff University to make up an equation, which was then published by The Guardian, and a PR company tried to pay academics to put their name to the research.
All right.
Cardiff University had to then distance itself from it, saying it's a load of nonsense. It's pseudoscience, nonsensical. Right. This is the problem, though. That is obviously a load of waffle. Yeah. But
we can't swear.
Okay, we can't swear. It's a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
Thank God the shackles are off now.
The shackles are off.
Can I, in Punjabi or just
whatever comes.
All right. So it's a perpetual cycle, and this is what social media does. That it feeds us that this is Blue Monday. This is the most depressing day of the year, and it's self-fulfilling prophecy. Coroners will say that they have more suicides around this time as well. And has social media helped? I think now it's hindering with mental health, because you're constantly force-fed this image of how to live and how to be happy. And also like how our validation works now. We used to get validation through our peers and through our parents and doing stuff. Now it's off likes.
Yeah.
So social media has a lot to answer for, but there's a great book that's come out, PhD guy from America, when likes are not enough, where he talks about his own story on social media and how it is just this perpetual cycle now. But things are starting to change now. I think with Instagram taking off likes and...
Well, I had an influencer agency on earlier today.
Yeah.
And they were saying they're still not sure. They've taken it off a few accounts. They're worried that if they take it off, the popularity of the platform, people will stop producing as much content, because they need content for people to keep going on there, to keep seeing it. Do you think this element of, like what you said, of not knowing what's real and real subconsciously plays on people's mind? So for example, you might see somebody that's going through marital problems. You'll see a friend who's putting up, I love my husband, we are at Royal Nawab, or we are at, San Carlo, whatever, he's so great, this is what he's bought me. You think subconsciously it plays on people's mind, like maybe I have got issues, and it creates a weird kind of...
You become a parody of yourself, don't you? Because you're bombarded with these constant images of what a perfect life should. Yeah. And you look at your life and it's not that.
Yeah, exactly. And do you think, how do you get around that then? How somebody suffering, what should they do then if that is affecting them?
Well, I think with mental health it's multifaceted and multi-layered. What would work for you wouldn't necessarily work for me, vice versa. But I can't talk about what would work for other people specifically, but what works for me is I've got rid of loads of people off my social media. That's one thing. I have in some ways created an echo chamber, but my echo chamber is real people who've got real lives, who I know, not all these sort of accounts where, you know, they're out every second having the time of their life. But also, you know, my diet, I've changed my diet, my sleep pattern.
I think diet is huge.
It's massive. When you consider how much serotonin is produced in your gut, there's a massive link to it.
Huge.
But then that's also, you know, it's also linked to money. It costs money to eat well.
Why is that? I was thinking about this the other day. Why does it cost more to eat well then?
Because it's
if
not.
I eat a lot of grenade bars, right?
Yeah.
Protein bars. I just like them. It's £2 or £2.50 a bar. I could get a Snickers for like 80-90p, and I just can't get my head round.
Well, a good example is if you've lived in London, you've heard of Foxtons, the estate agency, like the most horrific bunch of human beings who will sell their grandmas to get ahead in life. They have a good line where they say you can tell the gentrification of an area because of the amount of coffee shops in said area. Now, if you look on the other side of that, you can tell the deprivation of an area by how many chicken shops there are. When it costs £2 to get 2 pieces of chicken and chips, what are you going to do when you're poor? You're not going to go and eat organically for like £7 and have a little meal.
Chicken from Nando's.
Yeah. You are though, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that chicken is pumped full of so many chemicals and pesticides. It's obviously cheaper than actual organic food. And this is the problem that we have. Mass-produced food is so cheap because of all the chemicals, all the things that they put into it, which there's also been, you know, it's linked to bad mental health as well.
It's like so much, like you said, so much sugar in certain foods, which affects you.
And we know, like with sugar, I mean, obesity by itself will kill the NHS. You know, the NHS is on its last legs, but just that problem itself, it's again, not to use the phrase too often, but it's a perpetual cycle that we're in, where, you know, there is a link to your socio-economic circumstance of if you can eat. It's just a variety, it's a multitude of things, but unfortunately, having a business, you have to be visible on social media, which is something that I really despise. I mean, we're both on social media and we interact and we talk about Nawab restaurant. Not that we're trying to get a plug, but come on, bro, come on, sort it out, Nawab. And football.
Yeah.
But it's the way things are going.
Me and you are not sitting there looking at playing five-a-side on a Tuesday and then looking at Sergio Aguero score on a Wednesday thinking, oh my God, I need to be doing that. Why is my life? You know, in reality, it's just a bit of banter. You're looking at what's going on. And diet, I think, is huge. You know, most people that suffer are usually heavy on either bad diet or alcohol plays a big part.
Diet and sleep, but, you know, I go to Andy's Man Club. I've also got.
How do you find Andy's Man Club?
I love it. It's been a big part in my recovery.
I saw your tweets regarding it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a big part in my. It's helped me with my recovery as well, because mental health is not just all these things. It's also about, you know, purpose, relationships, connection,
putting things into
community
perspective as well.
Yeah, and community is a big thing. And with something like Andy's Man Club, you build that community, you have that community. That's what I'm saying. It's multifaceted, it's multi-layered. There's so many studies about people who have got really high-paid jobs, but they hate it. And, you know, their mental health is horrific. The monotony of it, the monotony, the stress, you know, there's also about, you know, isolation. It's so multifaceted and multi-layered, it's not a plaster that you can put over it.
True.
There's a great book, Johan Hari, Lost Connection, where he goes through all the reasons that are linked to depression, which we don't necessarily consider. And in that, it's, you know, it's the likes of connection, job, purpose, relationships. We are not that fulfilled as human beings anymore, are we? We've become social media might have brought us together, but it's made us more distant. We don't know what's real and what's true. We can't even believe things with our own eyes now, with the amount of disinformation.
Well,
and AI as well.
If it's trending, that means it's happening. You know, with footy transfers, he's on.
Yeah.
It's happening. Yeah. We're going to the ground, and then when it's not happened, right, get the chairman out. He's a waste time. He's a fucking waste time.
Yeah.
Well, he's not said it's happening. Nobody said it's happening. But like you said, you don't know what's real and not. And like you said with AI, I find when I was suffering from anxiety, what I found was taking a step back. But I used the internet to my advantage a lot. So what I started doing was I started to watch a lot of people that had recovered from anxiety, specifically OCD. I watched a lot of different people that had tried different things diet-wise to really help me understand how I can improve. So I kind of used it from an educational point of view. But some people use it the other way. You know, like some people, what do the first thing do when they're not well? They Google it.
Yeah.
The first one at the top, well,
That's what I've got.
and I did this years ago. This is no word of a lie. 2011, I remember it clearly. I was having a cough, I think it was at the time. And it was just before Christmas Eve, so I couldn't get into the doctors. And I go, oh, this cough is getting bad, isn't it? It's just getting bad. Let me just Google it. So the site came up. I did the test, you know, like answer the yes, no, yes, no. And at the end of it, it said there's a high chance you've got throat cancer. I was like, throat cancer? Fucking hell, now what? Right, so at that point, I'm panicking now, and I've just seen my whole life flash in front of me. I'm thinking, oh my God, what's gonna happen to my family? They're gonna have to bury me now. These are serious thoughts that go through. They're gonna have to bury me. My mother's gonna have to bury me. Oh my God, like this is really bad. This is really bad. Then you start, in that period from when the doctors reopen, I've Googled how quick you can die, what happens to you, what's the process of dying? Is it like a slow death, is it a quick death? And then at the same time, somewhere in my head, I'm thinking, but I don't smoke, and there's a more chance if I smoke. You know, there's things that I commonly think about. And at the end of it, when I went back, and I got into the doctors on the 4th of Jan, and he goes, you just got a throat infection, take this, you'll be fine tomorrow. But that one element of Google, just searching my symptoms and what was up, just threw me off totally. But it's very common for people to just search what's up with them, and they want the answer there and then, which is not. Have you seen Push Doctor?
Yeah.
Right, I've been on Push Doctor when I was bad. I was on Push Doctor a few times, and I would ring them, and they'd get a video call. There's nothing wrong with Push Doctor, but this is what I did. So doctor comes and doctor, I think this is happening. I used to have a lot of pains on my left side because my father passed away from a heart attack. I was always worried that I'm going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
So what it is, but my shoulder doesn't go any further back from there. So I've
Right.
got a shoulder problem, which kind of goes across here. If you look at this side, my arm goes back.
Yeah.
And I go to the doctor, you know, I want to see a doctor right now. So Push Doctor paid 35 quid. They come on. It looks like it could be something serious, but just go to your GP. So many people just trying to cash in on certain things.
Yeah.
Misinformation.
Is that what they honestly said?
Honest to God. So
So what was the point of the £35 then?
you book it, you go on their system, you book it, and what they do is a doctor will ring you via video call. They ring you and they say, what's up with you? And if it's something that they can't physically, if you need physical examination on something, they'll take the 35 quid and off you go to your GP. If it's something like, I've got a cough, it's a bit itchy here and a bit itchy there, and I can't sleep at night, they'll just send a prescription to your local pharmacy via email or
Right.
fax. But if it's something like what I'm saying, but I tell you something that they used to do. So you know, as you're speaking to the GP, they don't tell you if you go over 30 minutes, they charge you 60 quid. There's no timer. So it's like, it's just a money making. And some people get misled by that. You know, that I just want an answer because there's so much information out there. So many people you can get onto, and I think it's going to get worse. I genuinely see it getting worse because more and people are suffering, and when you're suffering, you want answers, you want quick, somebody to tell you what's up and how to get around it. Now, from your point of view, what about fitness? How important is keeping fit, keeping the body and the mind fit?
I mean, do what I say, not what I do.
Well, you know.
Startup life and all
yeah.
that. It's all linked to one another, and especially for me with fitness. When even though it's 80% what you put into your body, when I'm active, I'm more on board, and I ensure that my diet fits the fact that I'm active, so that when I am being active, I'm not feeling like I'm going to throw up. So it's a cycle, isn't it? One thing helps the other. But staying fit, definitely. I mean, for some people, I know from Andy's Man Club, they just love to run, and they say like running helps them. But it's what works for the individual. For some people, running is not an option. Or, fitness is not an option.
Some people that suffer, like you said, can't run. And this girl I used to work with, she was suffering really badly. And we tried a few things, not like I just said, try this, try that. And eventually what ended up helping her was before she went to sleep, she would watch positive videos of a speaker, usually Tony Robbins, something like that, which would put things into perspective. But you're right, I would try everything. You know, some people say don't do antidepressants. I'm all for them.
See, I think for me, drugs is the last thing to do. But then if that was what works for you,
If that's what works for you, why
do
not?
it, yeah.
Why would you say drugs is the last thing?
I've got an addictive personality.
So you would kind of want more and more.
So yeah, and I would, for myself personally, I'd be scared that I wouldn't be able to come off them. So that's why for me personally, it's a case of try everything else before I go to that.
Yeah. But somebody that's...
Somebody else,
it would,
and this is it, it's individual, it's multi-layered, it's multifaceted mental health. It's what works for you. And as I said, like what works for me will be different for what works for you and somebody else.
You know Andrew Flintoff?
Yes.
He's been on antidepressants for like 10 years and he can't survive without, but he goes, it helps me function. But there's a bit of a taboo around antidepressants, and some people assume, within the Asian community especially, they think, oh, that's it, you know, you're going to be a zombie and you're just going to lie there and you don't know what's going on. But as you know, they start you off on a small dose and it increases from there until they find the right dose for you. But there should only be a short-term fix. I do agree with that.
That's what it is. It's a short-term fix, but you know, knowing why you have these issues is the big thing. You know, being able to speak to people, being able to speak to your friends, and being able to therapists. I mean, again, not everyone can afford a therapist, or if you're on the NHS, you only get X amount of appointments. Who's to say that you're going to be fine in 6 appointments' time if you're doing, you know, the standard appointments that they have? This is it. The system is broken at the moment. Do we need to look to the private sector for assistance? I think we do, because innovation is not going to come from anywhere else.
I didn't think of it like that, the way you just kind of put it across. Do you think... What about younger people? What do you think they're being affected more? Or do you think it's a bit more with the older, as stresses of life increase?
I think coping mechanisms are different, and you've got to look at how people are growing up. As my example, I always give, like my nephews, they've got a laptop in one hand and a phone in the other hand. They've got access to so much information, but they're stupid.
Are the gamers?
Well, they're not stupid. Take that out, by the way, because I'll get my ass kicked by my nephews. No, but they've got access to so much information, but they don't know what information is right and what information is relevant. And how they interact with products is different to us. A technological product for mental health, for example, for us two being of a similar age, wouldn't work for them, because the way they interact is more about chat boxes. It's more about that rather than face to face.
Yeah,
or
they don't want to speak.
Yeah, but
they don't. Yeah.
That's how. We've got research about that's how the best way to engage and interact with them, and that they would probably be put off by a video call with someone, and they'd want to have something like that, a chat box. So it's known that different strokes for different folks and generations and different ethnic groups.
You could be ringing them and they'll just see the phone ringing and they won't pick up if you message them.
God, that's the most annoying thing about some of my nephews. They've got their phone in their hand constantly, but when you call them,
they won't pick up. Now, diving a bit deeper, in our community, it's huge, but it's accepted that you're just depressed. It's normal.
I don't even think it's accepted, because the excuses that the things that I've heard you should do. Say you're galma.
Yeah.
Say you're namaz. You're not doing enough namaz.
Namaz is obviously really praying.
Do pray a bit more. My dad was even just like have a paracetamol.
Yeah, but
that's because they don't know anything better.
What can that community do in your opinion then?
Acknowledge that saying your kalma and namaz is not going to solve mental health.
Within our community, it's heavy diets. You know, really heavy diets.
I think this decade will.
I thought the decade from 2000 to 2010 was pretty bad. I think with the wars and stuff and the financial crash, I thought that was quite bad.
I think that with the 2008 crash, we're only seeing the massive effects of that now, with the increase in populism, nationalism, and everything coming to head now.
But we're slightly going off here, but in a sense you're right. Look at going into, you don't know what's true and what not. Me and you were following the elections, how closely. And Corbyn,
let's not get started talking.
Hammered for stuff that was just ridiculous. And the media were writing this stuff, tweeting this stuff, and half of it wasn't even true.
But when a political party can change their name on Twitter to fact check UK, and the president of the biggest country, or the United States, can say, I can shoot someone in the face and it's all right. When you have those things possible, plausible, and people are not bothered, we're living in messed up times.
Do you think that adds as well to anxiety? People being like, oh my God, we don't know what's going to happen.
Massively. There's been studies coming out about the link with politics and Brexit to mental health, uncertainty. I mean, it's not just what's going to happen, it's the fact that funding's going to go, there's going to be certain cuts, job losses, it's all connected.
So why did we vote for it then?
That's another podcast, isn't it?
No, go on. Why were people just going into that social media with the fed lies, made to believe these lies?
I think it's not a simple answer. I think people were fed up with what was being offered. I don't think it was something that should have actually been given to the people. We've been lied to, and we've had people for 20, 30 years who just fed us this narrative that we need to get out of the EU. And then what did they do? They blamed immigrants, didn't they? Like that picture of Nigel Farage out next to that billboard is virtually identical to a picture from Nazi propaganda. And if you look at the similarities between 1930s Germany, it's quite scary what's going on now.
Where do you see it going then?
I don't know, but I don't know. Yeah.
Go on, where do you see it going? When I'm saying where do you see it going, what I'm trying to say is, do you see things getting worse?
Things getting worse before they get better.
More racism, more discrimination? Racism is pretty much accepted
Attacks have increased since Brexit. Since you've got your Prime Minister who can get away with calling black people, they've got watermelon smiles, picking in your faces, whatever, and being able to say what he did about Muslim women, and it's okay, and he doesn't apologise. And Islamophobia, which is said to be rife in the Tory party, is not investigated.
But they investigate anti-Semitism?
Well, yeah, and let's not get onto that, but it's been acceptable. It's become acceptable to be racist now.
Look at football grounds.
Steve Bannon, who was advising Boris, he said that people should wear being called racist as a badge of honour.
Look at football grounds. In the last 2 years in this country, how many incidents have we seen? Forget team, just football grounds generally.
Again, that's a reflection on what's going on in society.
That's
where
what
people
Gary
think
Neville
it's,
said. Do you see what Gary Neville said?
I think it's spot on. When you think it's acceptable and you can get away with it, it's just a reflection on what's going on in society.
I hope something changes for the positive, Omar. I hope, it doesn't end up being... We won't go into this now, otherwise we're going to end up with the Iran general being killed. And let's not...
That's another podcast. How many podcasts do you want to do?
We're going...
Should we just do Bilal and Omar? Put the world to rise?
It's just scary. Scary, but I hope it doesn't come to what we think it will come to. Now back to anxiety and depression. Your actual app, I'll just call it that.
Yeah.
When will that be going?
Should be in about 3 months' time. We've had quite a few issues in terms of the tech build and other bits and pieces, and we are going to be B2B to start off with, and within about a year's time we'll be releasing it B2C once we've got things sorted out with our early adopters, enough features in there. But we want to be low-key until we're ready and we've got the case studies and the data to really be able to say this is something that could potentially assist you. It's not going to cure, it's not a diagnostic tool, it's not something that's going to cure, but as
just
something...
helps.
Yeah, as part of your mental health and well-being, it can assist.
There's a few apps already which are quite popular.
They are. There's Headspace and Calm, which are the biggest ones, but they literally offer 20% of what we do, and they are, they're good at meditation and going to sleep. I mean, I was speaking to someone who said that I use the Calm app because I really like the rain sound. And it helps me go to sleep. I'm like, you live in Manchester.
It rains all
Open the window. Do you know what I mean? Forget paying that. Just open the window.
And will yours be a subscription based or?
It will have different models. So yes, it will, but it'll be free to people via charities that we're working with. So we're trying to set up a model which means that it can be a company which profit for purpose. The more we make, the better and bigger we can become. but we can help people who need it the most. And so via charities that we're working with, we'll be able to offer it to those people who need it the most for free. And eventually, inshallah, be able to get it into the NHS as well.
Will it be in multiple languages or?
Eventually, yes. That's something we've had to put back, yeah. The voice recognition, I mean, interesting bit with the voice recognition, because the voice recognition was based on my voice. Originally, it only worked with people with northern accents.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I sort of like that a little bit, but we needed more data for it. And now with how much I've learned about language and inclinations and the structure of languages, it only really works with people who are talking European languages. The structure of language is completely different outside of Europe, isn't it? I mean, as I'm sure you know, with like Arabic, with Mandarin, Urdu, Punjabi, it's a completely different.
Chinese,
so
whatever.
Yeah, so that's something that we'll have to work on at a later stage. But eventually, within a year or two, it will be in multiple language interfaces. And yeah, the more we can get right at the beginning, the bigger and better we can become, the more we can offer. But yeah, it will be available B2B and B2C as well. And we've got like other products for the business world. So we've got technology that can assess a company's culture. It will give us a
How does that work then?
We're using an OCP model and a few other scientific frameworks. So every employee will fill out these questions, and it will show us. It'll give us a monetary value on how much a company is losing to like mental health and bad culture.
Fabulous.
Then the idea would be we'd be able to deliver workshops, give them training on the app. The app will be slightly different for B2B. There'll be like a reporting function on there, so you can report anything to HR. So yeah, some slight
Really cool stuff.
Really cool stuff.
That's good.
Very
man.
very nuanced and very well researched, and got an incredible team.
I'm glad it's coming from Manchester and not London. And why, someone from London?
Most of the tech team.
Oh, right, we'll cut that bit out.
Yeah, all my ex-colleagues from Google. No, but we've generally got the best tech team. If we were all based in Manchester, we'd have the best tech team. There's 6 of us, 3 ex-DeepMind Google, 3 ex-Google.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if people want to find out more about you, follow you, get in touch with you, talk to you about Man City, where do they go?
Follow the company at WeAreAssif, and Assif is ASSIF, and then I'm on Twitter arguing a lot with people about politics and AI. Omar Latif.
Omar, it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure was mine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and come on, Nawab, sponsor us for some food.
Omar, thanks for that.
No worries, bro. Hope it was
that all right?